Hi, everybody. It's Friday, November 11th, 2016, and I want to thank all the veterans out there that gave their time, service to this country. Man, don't ever blame the military for the shenanigans that we do, man, because the men and women in the military that I knew were awesome. Today, I have the shocking revelation and privilege of interviewing a veteran of the United States Marine Corps and Nephilim, half Anunnaki, Daniel. Now, I don't care if you believe this or not, but Daniel put himself on the line for the first time. He suffers from terrible PTSD. He has been through traumatic experiences. And just for him to have the bravery enough to get on the horn with me and share his experience with me, awesome. Second thing, I understand what the Bible says about Nephilim. But before you judge this man, I want you to listen to this interview. So 2008, when it was coming in, and how did you come by these photos, Daniel?
I worked on the South Pole telescope.
And were you a maintenance engineer, or were you inside?
No, I was the designer.
Ah, the designer of the telescope.
Yeah.
And tell me a little bit more about your background, man. I mean, are you? How long have you been? Let's just start with how long have you been involved in, special projects, compartmented projects?
32 years.
Okay. And and do you want to just tell your kind of general story, or just kind of tell us where you came from and what happened to you and how you got where you got?
All right. You want me to start from the beginning?
Sure, I would love you to start from the beginning.
Okay. Age 19, my dad threw me out of the house when I was walking through downtown Lawrence, Massachusetts, digging through dumpsters for something to eat, like cheese or pizza boxes. And the Marine recruiter came over to me and asked me, he says, how would you like a bed and 3 meals a day? I'm not thinking too much of it. I said, all right, I'll go in. We'll take the exam. And I did. I passed the exam with the highest scores the Marine Corps ever had. And so the Navy was interested. So I took their test. And I did very good on the chemistry background, nuclear stuff. So the Navy offered me nuclear, but I asked for officer candidate school, and the Marines said, we'll give that to you. It's signed right here. So I was immediately shipped off to Paris Island. I walk in there with only my license in my pocket. I completed basic training in 82, August 82.
Hey, I completed basic training in August of 82 as well.
Marine Corps?
No, I was in the U.S. Air Force.
Flyboy.
Yeah, actually, I went to the linguist school, Russian school, right across the street from basic training, so I didn't have a very glorious first assignment, that's for sure. Huh.
Well, it gets stranger from there, because when I was at Paris Island, we were being buzzed by UFOs. Okay?
Yep.
I then graduated, like I said. The commandant called me in and says, what do you want to do? Do you want a career in the Marine Corps? And says, I was up at OCS. So they gave me 2 places. One was Pensacola with the Flyboys, Navy Flyboys. So I chose that. 6 months of training there, another 6 months of class work, and I came out in early 83 with as a second lieutenant. From there, I was stationed at Camp Lejeune, the motor pool, because I had a knack for fixing things. So they naturally stuck me in there. Then there was a posting on the wall for Beirut, Lebanon. You know what happened there, right?
I was on duty that day at the Operations Support Center in Ramstein, Germany, 10 stories underground.
Okay. I was on the second floor in the officers' quarter when they blew up the barracks. I was pinned in the rubble for 4 days. They threw me in the mortuary pile. Then when they came to throw me in a bag, they realized I was alive.
Wow, that's traumatic to the maximum, my friend. I am so sorry.
Well, how do you think I feel? I lost 20 men in my company.
I know, and I know how Marine officers are about their men as well.
So I still have bad dreams about that.
I know.
Anyway, I was the supply officer. Okay? I was the one who eyeballed that truck that they used several times. I can still today describe it to a T. Okay,
well,
do I go on?
my role in that is we were supporting the 322 airlift squadron, and we're the ones that got the injured out and brought them to Landstuhl.
Yeah.
That was what my small role was in helping you. I wish I could do more.
Well, I'm in a hospital bed today because of it.
Yeah, tell us. You had those injuries must have been debilitating right there.
Yes and no. I was actually pinned in the concrete getting crushed, but I was never crushed. You know what I mean? So I had several broken toes. I broke my neck and my back.
Yeah.
And I still have problems with one of my right shoulder. Had to have surgery on it. But they immediately transported me out on a C-130. I went back to Camp Lejeune because, it was basically just burns and minor stuff wrong with me.
Yeah.
But the thing is being pinned and bleeding and passing out of me now and then did a toll on me. So after 7 days there, the CIA walks in. Okay. They offered me certain training at Langley. I went in there and did the psychic route because I had a knack of finishing people's sentences and knowing what they were thinking. So when they sat me down behind the double mirror, I was saying the cards before I even flipped them behind the mirror. From there, I got into remote sensing, which I did really well at. And from there, I got my first taste of recovery at Nellis Air Force Base in '88. We were retrieving crashed vehicles that were not of this planet. Okay?
I'm listening.
From there, once they saw that I had a knack again for repairing and fixing things, I was assigned to Groom Lake S4. Okay, this is all between going from MIT to get a master's in engineering to Georgia Tech for environmental engineering, a doctorate, Berkeley, California for nuclear physics, Albuquerque for geophysics, and geology was where? I'll think of it. But anyway.
So the CIA, so the government put you through all this, high level academic work.
Yeah.
Okay.
I didn't go through regular courses. I went through the condensed 3-week courses.
I'm aware with actually, I am aware of those. Believe it or not.
Okay. So after my extensive brain training, basically, I put my assets to use for Area 51. That's from Nellis to Area 51 because Nellis is separate from Area 51 and S4. Okay. I remember seeing Bob Lazar a couple times, but this is when I met Phil Schneider. And I went to work on some of the dumbs that were going underground because I understood what was going on and they needed technical support. So I was there.
So you actually knew Phil, and were you friends with Phil?
Yeah.
Okay.
Let's put it this way: in his last meeting back in what, '83, he mentioned me. He's the one. Phil's the one that walked off the job, and I was the other one that stayed in.
Ooh, okay.
I have cryolite and majestic clearance still.
You still hold those clearances?
Yeah.
Okay.
They're afraid to let me go because of all the things that I know.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm sitting up here hiding in a little valley, far enough away from civilization, just in case shit hits the fan. A safe zone, as it were.
And that's all I really want you to say about it.
What? Safe zone?
No. I was going to say that we really don't want you to compromise anything about your position or anything like that. I get that you're in fear for your life from the government.
Yeah, because they tried to assassinate me several times.
I bet they did. When did you part ways with the government after all this high level training and S4 work?
2006.
Okay. So you worked on the deep underground military bases. You knew Phil
Yeah.
Snyder, so that obviously means that you've seen aliens.
Yes.
Okay.
I've worked with aliens. I worked with J-Rod at Dulles.
Wow. Okay.
I was beyond security.
Let me ask you a question, and that I've always wanted to ask somebody that had been real experience with that. And were they nice guys? I mean, just were they friendly, easy to get along with, or were they? Am I just
But
not?
the aliens? The aliens?
Yeah.
Okay, some of them are nice. Okay, other ones are meaner than a fucking badger and fucking on steroids. Okay, I'm talking about the reptilians, the draconians from A and B.
So
The Greys work for them.
that's what we understand, that they work for the Draconians. That's at least what we've been able to piece together with the little bit of information we hear on the outside, right?
Yeah.
So these reptilians, Greys, and Draconians, what other aliens did you work with?
I would have the people that you call the Nordics, who actually have a base in Antarctica.
Okay.
Okay, that's one thing I wanted to get into, why Kerry went down there.
Oh, thank you, please.
Okay, now, when I did my research down there, when I was doing the assembly of the South Pole Telescope back in the early day, I was tapped on the shoulder by a few scientists. They wanted me to take a look at something that they found. Okay? So, we take a trip down on the southern part, which is over on the, I believe, the Pacific side. Yeah, over on the Pacific side. And there was an underground city preserved in the ice. It didn't look like anything a human built, let's put it that way. So, one weird thing is that when I was touching the electronic equipment in that site, it all became functional. Apparently, I do have special blood in me. Now, you ready to hold on to your seats for this answer?
I am anxious to hear your
Okay.
knowledge.
I am 7'1". Okay. I am what you call a modern day Nephilim.
And how did you 7'1" is absolutely giant. Okay.
Well, I'm 850 pounds, built like a brick shithouse.
So do you know how you came to be, what your parental, how that worked, or?
Well, Apparently, my mother was abducted one year and she became pregnant, and they all thought it was my dad's kid. But when I came out, I had extra fingers and toes and an extra set of teeth, which were taken out of me when I was 3. I was playing chess with the hospital doctors, beating the pants off of them.
Yeah.
I've always been smart. I've always been able to read people too.
Yeah, that's a gift that they say that do you mind being called Nephilim, or is that what would you prefer to be called?
Well, I know what I am because of all the genetic tests that they did down in Dulles on me.
So are you like half human, half, how would you describe that mix?
I would have to say that I'm more Nephilim than I am human.
And
I was experimented on with gene therapy. So super soldier comes into mind there.
So they probably extracted and are using your DNA and continued working with it, probably would be my guess, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So anyway, you went down to...
They probably cloned me already.
They probably found you already?
Cloned.
Oh, cloned you, yeah. Yeah, that's part of the whole story that we hear, right? And
yeah.
why are they trying to, why are they trying to clone? Why are they trying to create these, recreate Nephilim and things like that, Daniel? What's the purpose of doing that?
Okay, there was some literature that I read called the Lost Book of Enki. Ever hear of it?
Yes, yeah. In this community, it's kind of one of the standard bearer books,
Okay. So there are bloodlines on this planet that, like the O negatives. I'm O negative. I do not have any human characteristics except for the hemoglobin.
So, for example, when you were in the hospital and things like that, did they have difficulty matching your blood type or anything like that, or was that?
Yeah, my body would reject other blood.
So, how did they have to just go to straight plasma?
They had to synthesize it from mine.
Wow.
How do you think I feel?
Oh, man,
I was a government guinea pig for a while.
Well, I know this is a story of tragedy and hurt and pain, and the fact that you're sharing it with me, I'm humbled by that, and I appreciate it.
Okay, so what about Nibiru? That's the pressing question.
That is the pressing question.
Now, this picture you have up before me, okay, see the ring?
Yes, we do.
Okay, that is what you've been capturing as a black dot on your other pictures. That is an intense gravity well where the plasmatic discharges are in a circle because it can't really escape that spot. In essence, it's a failed black hole. That's why it's so magnetically strong. You ever play with magnets when you were a kid?
Oh yeah, I get the concept of magnetism very well.
Okay, since you get that down, now the magnetics of this system that's coming in, you know that the more tightly the field bands on an electrical field, how close they get depends on the strength.
Correct.
Okay, now what happens when you interact those fields with another object? Well, like another planet, like Earth and Nibiru going by, that has a stronger magnetic and gravitational effect. That's why your outer planets have been perturbed.
Right. I would, what common sense would tell me that this would affect anything up to and including the actual orbit of these, of electromagnetic bodies such as the Earth.
Yeah.
So,
track.
Yeah, well, I'll go right to the chase. I mean, I believe that the reason they have an artificial sun is because because we're not where we're supposed to be anymore.
No, I think we're about 7 days out.
Right. So you think it's a 7 day since 2011? I think I had a subscriber tell me that they had done some kind of an analysis and found out that we added 7 days.
Yeah, because of the moon cycle, if you ever noticed that.
Gosh, do we ever? I mean, it flips over in the sky and everything else
Yeah, I wonder why.
because we're tilted differently.
Well, it's the electromagnetic interference between the spheres.
Right. That's what I would suspect, and that would
And
be
also, our sun was being fed upon by this brown dwarf star. That's why you have the thing going out because it was sucking that much energy out of it.
yeah.
It's a cannibal star, basically.
And when you now, I think this. I don't mean to fast forward your story or anything like that, but I just wanted to. We're talking about Nibiru and how what your role was in this, and you built or helped to build the very telescope that took these pictures. Did you not?
Yeah,
Okay. And so these are in 2008. What does that mean 8 years later for us now?
that's what's coming in at us.
Yeah, I get that, man.
It's on counterclockwise orbit, so it went on the right side of the sun, coming out the left, but it's at a 22-degree angle to the ecliptic,
Okay.
and it's heading out. And as it does, it's tugging on the spheres as it goes by. Now, when Noah's day came around, when it came around the Bureau, it grabbed onto our lithosphere and moved it across the mantle. And these noises that people have been hearing is the core of the earth straining to turn.
That makes perfect sense to me. And again, I'll put things. I'll put little illustrations up to help people to kind of visualize.
Also, the green planet that you've been seeing,
Yes, the green
I
planet.
think Marshall Masters named it as Farada.
Yeah, he went and named the planets. What is its real name?
Ishnu.
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 There you go, guys. Talking to an insider, Nephilim, half Anunnaki. Man claims to be all these things, and all the things I've checked out, and I'm check out. I mean, including up into the review of the Beirut bombing situation and all those things. So I think there 90% chance or 100% chance actually that he's real. And I've been talking to him personally over the last couple days and just getting to know him, and it's all off the record. And let me tell you something, you guys, and I want to say this hard to everybody. Daniel has put great bravery forward by telling us the things that he just told us and more. By the way, we have many more segments to share. We're going to be laying down as many tracks as we can with him, and as long as he's willing to work with WSO, we're going to help him. So there you go. I'm reporting. You decide. I'd like to see your feedback below. But be kind, man, because Daniel is a man that has been hurt, that has been destroyed, that has been physically, mentally abused by our government, and I feel nothing but empathy and love for this man. Thank you, Daniel. I look forward to the next piece that we're going to put up with you, God. God bless you, man. Hi everybody, it's Steve Olson. It is November 13th, 2016, Sunday. Hi everybody. How y'all doing? Peace be with you. Anyway, looking at the Daniel situation, thinking about it, getting a lot of feedback. And first of all, I wanted to thank you, Daniel, for putting yourself out there. I don't think Daniel wants to do any more interviews after this. His feelings are hurt. I have a lot of track laid down with him. He gave me a lot of evidence that showed me that he was real. So I wanted to give you my commentary on this now after hearing it. The first thing I would say to you is that we really just reheard the Stitchin Sumerian text, Gerald Clark. Not so much Gerald Clark, because Gerald Clark takes it into a spiritual dimension much further than anything that we heard, that I've ever heard from Stitchin. He takes it another level further, which makes me like Gerald. But anyway, Daniel was giving us, I think, the Anunnaki perspective. Do I think the Anunnaki perspective is the truth? No, I do not. Let me make a couple points about this first. Number one, anybody who puts up stuff about Daniel not being in the military, I want to debunk all of that right now, and that's the reason why I've been burning it off my site, because it's just not true. Daniel gets VA assistance in his home. They come in and they actually do medical treatment on him in his home. The VA does, after a fight to get his medical records back, or his DD-214 records back, and things like that. Okay? So what Daniel, what that says is you cannot get medical benefits medical benefits from the VA without having been in the military. So just because something is printed on the internet doesn't make it true. And I don't necessarily buy everything that my guests say, just so you know. But I wanted to hear the story because it was told in a dimension or a way that I hadn't heard before, and the continuity of Daniel's message, like it or not, was pretty good. And the second thing that I liked about Daniel's message was, as I got to know him better and everything like that, he's a good dude, and he actually says he has Jesus in his heart. He asked Jesus to come in his heart. So all these things like that, okay? He's like childlike in one way and adorable, but just this massive brain and this massive intellect on the other. It's kind of interesting, really. So what do I think about the Anunnaki? I do think the Anunnaki are real, by the way. I think that's proven beyond a reasonable doubt as it relates to the scriptures and the Sumerian texts and all those things. So let's just get past that, okay? Because here's what happened. In Genesis chapter 6, the Watchers came down, as it says, and they made it with women. They took wives. Then their offspring were called giants that basically were men of renown, and at one point it even suggests that they were rulers of the world. So they're super high intellect, super big, super strong, super smart, but they are giants, and they keep growing, and it was a genetic anomaly, and it was one of the reasons why the Anunnaki weren't supposed to come here. Because here's what I think. This is what Steve Olson personally thinks. What I personally think is that the Anunnaki, reptilian, gray, Nordic, whatever races or species that are messing with us right now and that are manipulating us to feed off of us or whatever sick purposes that they have, I believe I believe with all of my heart that none of those races are God. None of those races can claim existent. None of those races can claim being the ruler of the universe. None of those, no matter what their stories are. But let's address this fallen angel thing. If Daniel indeed is half Nephilim, that doesn't mean that he's half fallen angel. Because if you read your Bibles, please go look in Matthew where it talks about that angels cannot procreate. That's right, angels can't procreate. So whatever demonic forces, principalities, powers, and high places, apparently, if those are angels, they can't procreate. So what were those Watchers that came down in Genesis chapter 6? Were they fallen angels? Or were they really another race of people, i.e. the Anunnaki? Or some other race? Or maybe a combination of races? So that's kind of where I'm coming down on it. So when Yeshua came, after all of this prison and all of this hatred, self-hatred, being under the dominion of others, because, by the way, I don't believe the Anunnaki for a minute upgraded our DNA. I believe they downgraded our DNA. Because the Bible tells us that, and I want to make a point from that. Remember how in the Old Testament, in the Sumerian text, they talk about people living for 600 years, 900 years, 1,000 years, maybe even more, human beings, in the Bible? How is it an upgrade to go to a 800 year lifespan to a 100-year lifespan? How is it an upgrade, and I know what Wayne Steiger says about this, but how is it an upgrade to go from from 100% use of your spiritual potential and your brain and all of the functioning circuits of the human body in unison with God, the Creator, to 10% of our brain and barely able to see what God looks like? So tell me how that is a genetic upgrade. So that's the lie. The lie is that they didn't upgrade us, they downgraded us. And God came to save us. And that's what Yeshua came to do, was to break the lie and say God is not this murderous tyrant. God is not this thing that is at war at constantly. There is no such thing as love and war coexisting. So if God is love, how can there be war in him? There is no war in him. So what's going to happen, and what Jesus came to tell us, Yeshua came to tell us, was this is what God is really like. God is love. And love is the essence of the whole universe. It is God. God is love. So what's happening is the human race is being rescued from the Anunnaki. It's being rescued from all of these different races so that we can have the liberty and sovereignty as the human race in perfect relationship with God through Yeshua and his message. So that's what I believe. Have a good day.